Right, let's discuss today's other news stories. We've got Gyles Brandreth and we've got Camilla Tominey. Morning to both
Good
of
morning.
you. Lovely to see you
Good
both.
jumper, Gyles. Good jumper.
Thank you.
Strong today.
I'm celebrating having had my vaccine. That's why I'm wearing my NHS jumper today.
Well,
good to hear it.
Good. Right, well, have we had a bit of a glimpse into the future here? Because social distancing rules on the Isle of Man have been scrapped. Pubs, cafes, business, schools reopening, the island's lockdown. Oh, my God, look at that. The lockdown is lifted. Residents on the island will no longer have to socially distance from each other or wear masks. So they've had a circuit breaker lockdown and obviously their borders are pretty shut.
That's incredible.
What do we think about that? This is the footage that has been sent to us from the Isle of Man and pub landlords up and down the island.
How dare they?
Say it again, Camilla.
I'm saying literally, how dare they? Drinking their pints in crowds. I don't know.
I love it, though. I mean, that's well done them. Good. I mean, obviously, I'm dripping with jealousy. However, what a great thing to see.
It's a fantastic thing to see. Sorry, after you.
I was going to say they can do that because they're an island and their population density isn't that high. So it means that they've been able to keep outsiders out and get the infection rate down to nothing purely by border control.
Yeah, I mean, Gyles, we are an island too, essentially. So do you think some people will be looking at this thinking, hang on a minute, we want a piece of that?
They are an extraordinary island. I am a groupie for the Isle of Man. They have a population of 83,000 people. They have long been pioneers. You know, they have that special symbol, the three-legged figure that is the symbol of the Isle of Man. And it goes with the motto, wherever you throw it, it shall stand. And that's the nature of this island. They do remarkable things. They're pioneers, believe it or not, in space technology on the Isle of Man. It's the island that gave us the Bee Gees. On Thursday, we celebrate the birthday of the late, great Norman Wisdom. He chose to live in the Isle of Man. It's a self-governing British Crown dependency. It can do what it likes. I love going there. I'm so happy for them. They're ahead of the game. But Camilla is absolutely right. It is a small island. It's kept its borders pretty tightly controlled, and they're reaping the rewards. Well done them.
Let's move on to a different story, and it seems that maybe we will be reaping the awards soon. The Prime Minister said yesterday that there is evidence of a flattening of the curve and maybe even a falling off of infection rates. He said this while visiting a site in Yorkshire yesterday, and Professor Whitty has told the Prime Minister that the peak of infections has passed. The Prime Minister said that schools could...
Unusually positive.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
I did have to read this twice and check I got the right name as I was reading it out loud. But schools could possibly open as soon as they can. I mean, Camilla, this is all fantastic news.
I'm literally praying as 3 children are on Zoom, probably taking up all of my bandwidth as I do this. It's interesting as well that the Prime Minister's decided to be a bit more optimistic, because I think after the Christmas debacle, he had dialed down the optimism because he kept on being accused of over-promising and under-delivering. The fact that, as you say, Chris Whitty is sounding a positive note, I think should be embraced by the entire nation. Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, has also talked about this idea of us reclaiming a great British summer. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because the strategy was to suppress the virus so that we could go on with our more normal lives in the summer. And I think if you've squared off all of those vulnerable groups, then we should be seeing a lifting of restrictions, not least to save people's jobs, livelihoods and the economy in the summer.
And their minds. So this, Gyles, also extremely positive when you think that maybe we've all gone through this, we've all held hands and walked through this together, that we are about to come blinking out into the sunshine.
Well, I hope we haven't all been holding hands. This may be the problem, Philip. Too many of us have been holding hands. The idea... Metaphorically speaking, but yes. And I think the truth is spring is sprung. I'm here fizzing with Pfizer, as you can see, but and that is making psychologically a big difference, certainly to people of my generation, but also the idea that schools can go back in March is fantastic. My children doing their homeschooling like Camilla. Oh, the nightmare of it. If that can come to an end, brilliant. But the truth is, we're also being told, yes, there is hope we may get a great British summer, but actually we've got to maintain a certain amount of social distancing, the washing of the hands forever, probably forever, certainly into the future. And next winter is going to come, and we've got to be prepared for that as well. But there is hope at the moment. Fantastic. People soon will be able to visit people in care homes. That's what I read in today's papers. Fantastic.
It is fantastic news. However, there is always that sort of worry about variants. And, of course, I'm talking about the South African strain. Public health officials are set to go door to door as part of a testing surge in an emergency strategy to control the outbreak. So we thought what probably would be the best thing to do is get a virologist on the line. And we've got Professor Paul Hunter, who knows everything about this sort of thing. Thank you for joining us this morning. Some of these, it seems a bit extreme, some of the measures that are being taken. Do you think that this is necessary? Should we be concerned?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with the South African variant is that it shares the mutation with the English variant that makes it more infectious, but it also has a mutation which makes vaccines a little bit less effective against the South African variant. They're still effective. The vaccines still substantially reduce your risk of getting severe disease and dying, but they don't necessarily stop you getting infected and being infectious to spread to the others. But this is something that we're going to have to come to live with in time, because that's what coronaviruses do. They gradually mutate to more and more escape from immune control. And what happens is that we keep getting infected over decades, and we build up this partial immunity that doesn't stop us getting infected, but stops us getting severe disease. So, yeah, it is a concern. The concern really is that it's coming at a time when we've still not got a large proportion of our vulnerable people immunised. So although we probably won't stop it, if we can slow it a bit until more people have been immunised, then we will see far fewer people getting severely ill and succumbing until we've got the vaccine rolled out.
As you say, it's inevitable that these coronavirus do create their new variants. That's what happens with the flu virus. But we can't shut our borders every single time there's a new one pops up somewhere else, surely.
No, absolutely not. And I think the thing, though, with coronaviruses is that every mutation that you see tends to be a little bit more resistant, but it doesn't actually mean that you then get severely ill with these slightly new variants. So ultimately, we'll be continually exposed to these things, but they won't actually make us that sick. And they'll be ultimately, in 20 years' time, probably they'll be no different to the common cold, as has happened with all the other beta coronaviruses that have made their way into human society over the decades, if not centuries.
Are you feeling a bit more positive about stuff now?
Oh, absolutely. I think the vaccine's rolling out. I think they really well, better than most countries on the planet. We know that the policy of extending the gap between vaccines is looking good, and I think we're going to be hearing very good news about the effectiveness of a single dose coming in the next few days. And I think the figures speak for themselves in terms of how effective the control measures are at the moment. So, yes, it's going to cause us problems in the future. It will almost certainly cause some more problems in the winter, but I'm pretty sure, I certainly hope, it won't be as bad as we've had this winter. So, yeah, we've a long way to go, but I do believe that the worst is already behind us.
That's good to hear. Thank you,
Thank
Professor
you.
Hunter.
Thanks
Thank you
for your
very much
time.
indeed. Another story here, Camilla. National hero, Sir Captain Tom, currently fighting coronavirus in hospital, so we wish him well. Lots of love to his family.
Yeah.
Been criticised, severely trolled online because his family are with him, and a great many people saying that their loved one passed away alone, and the family weren't allowed to go into hospital, and should, even though he's a household name and raised more than £30 million for the NHS, should there be a difference here between Captain Tom and between other people who've lost members of their family, Camilla?
Well, you can understand the frustration because I think one of the saddest parts of that 100,000 death toll is the number of people that did have to die alone. And I think in those numbers included a 13-year-old boy at the beginning of the first lockdown. But I think two wrongs don't make a right. And at the end of the day, Captain Tom Moore is 100 years old. I understand he's in an ordinary ward, thankfully not ICU, being treated up in Bedford. And I don't know, it's up to the hospital, isn't it, to allow visitors in or not. That's a clinical decision. But I just don't think we should be piling on a family for whom they're going through an enormous trauma now because somebody who's 100 is suffering from having tested COVID positive. He hasn't been able to have his vaccination because he's had pneumonia, so that's an extra cause for concern. And I just think, frankly, moving forward, it is inhumane and immoral not to allow people to be with their loved ones in their hour of need in hospital, frankly.
Yeah, I think we can all
Gyles?
I'm with Camilla all the way there. The truth is, Sir Tom is a special guy, and to treat him in a special way, I think, is completely understandable. Frankly, he is 1 in a million, and to treat him in a way that is 1 in a million is fine by me. But actually,
Gyles, there'll be. I've got to say, there'll be people up and down the country now who are saying, "My mum was 1 in a million. My granddad was the most extraordinary person." I'm with you totally, and I agree with Camilla, though, that one wrong doesn't necessarily, 2 wrongs don't necessarily mean a right. I'm accepting what's happening to him. I salute him as a hero, and I deeply regret anyone who has had to, any family who was not able to be with their loved ones when they were very, very ill. But, this isn't a perfect situation. This isn't a perfect world. Everybody is doing their best, as I'm sure the people at Bedford Hospital are. Well, for someone it's perfect, who's a duck.
What's his name?
Duck. He's called Duck.
Oh, that's good.
Called Duck. And he's become a local beach celebrity in Rainbow Bay on the Gold Coast in Australia. He body surfs. And this is the body surfing duck. 8-month-old pet of an Australian resident, Kate Miller. He's got his own Instagram account, Rainbow Bay Duck. Here he is he's catching,
I love that little duck.
Catching a wave, hanging 10, and away he goes.
Go, 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 go.
Can't I just say
It's
that
fantastic.
don't all ducks body surf? I mean, I love a surfing animal as much as the next person, right?
Camilla, don't you ruin this moment.
I'd like to see a cat on a surfboard. I mean, this is what ducks do, right?
Once
Surely.
more.
Well,
I'm sure someone will deliver a cat on a surfboard, OK? Before the show is up, I believe that will happen. Oh, Gyles.
Can I say, he is my new role model. I've had such fun with this duck this morning, doing my own surfing in my own bath, and I can tell you that not all ducks do. Look, this one's still dripping water. So they don't all automatically... they can't all surf.
No,
this one can.
Now
that one
you know,
can't.
Camilla, now you know. Thank you
well
both.
done,
Good to talk to you
Thank you very
today.
much.